Heyo everybody, Haku here with my first read-through for Magical Girl Raising Project, or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku Limited. So yeah, we're finally at Limited. But first, before we get into reading, well, first of all, my voice sounds kind of weird, so I guess it's going to take me a moment to get warmed up. But either way, so sorry about that. But before we get into actually reading, the scheduling of this, since we're on the first chapter of it's going to be kind of important. This one's actually going to be up a little bit later than most of them will. It'll still be up Tuesday, but I plan to record these on Monday afternoon, so I can post them on Tuesday morning, maybe like early afternoon Tuesday, something like that. And then I can post the Tower of God review like Tuesday night. But I wasn't able to record yesterday, so I'm actually recording this on Tuesday, so this is going to be up later in the day than usual, later than I would have liked personally. So yeah, this one's going to be a little bit later, but I'd say expect these earlier in the morning on Tuesdays. Also, I'm going to try to fit this all into one recording, and that's what I'm going to do for each chapter. I'm going to try to fit it all into one video, all into one recording, but I also don't want to make them much longer than like an hour long at the most. So it's kind of like what we did with Restart. If I'm like at an hour and there's only a couple pages left, I'm good going 10-15 more minutes and making it like a really long video, just to get it all in one video. But if it's going to be like really long, I'll just split it into two parts. And if I do that, the first part will be up on Tuesday and the second part will be up a couple days later whenever I can. Like as soon as possible, you know. So yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to split up one chapter over the course of multiple weeks. I'll just do part 1 Tuesday, part 2 whenever I can get it up. And then the next chapter will be the next Tuesday. So even if I have to split this into two parts, don't worry, next Tuesday will be chapter 2. And you can expect part 2 of this sometime later in the week. And I guess that's about it. So yeah, I'm going to try to get the prologue and chapter 1 all in this one video. I'm excited to read. It's going to be nice to actually get back into Magical Girl Raising Project, not just episodes, because, I don't know, episodes was good, but it's not the same as reading like the actual main story. So I'm excited to get into the main story again, and I mean, last year, within the course of less than a year, because I mean, most of the fall I couldn't really do much, so yeah, we made it through episodes, Unmarked, and Restart, all within a year. So within this year, maybe we could get through at least 3 more of the light novels, maybe even catch up. So yeah, I guess that was kind of a weird point, but either way, let's get into actually reading. We're starting off with the prologue here. And every once in a while I'll probably take a break to grab some water or whatever, and when I do that I can tell you what page we're on, or whenever there's like a big break or anything, just in case you've somewhere got off if you're reading along. Because I know some people like to read along, some just like to listen while they're doing what they do. When I watch read-through videos myself, I just usually like to listen to them while I'm off doing whatever I'm doing. But yeah, I'll give you what page I'm on every once in a while to keep you updated. Either way, it's just been such a long time since I've done a light novel read-through. Starting with the prologue. Even with a heart that has grown tough after a year's worth of teaching, she would feel sad if she was hurt. Everyone was like that, or so Nozomi thinks. It was today's lunch break in the stairwell. There were students engaged in conversation. Since the rooftop was locked, the students couldn't enter and leave as they pleased, but there was nothing stopping them from staying in the landing in front of the rooftop. It was wider compared to the other landings. There weren't many students who hung out here other than those who had nowhere to go. When Nozomi passed through the doors to head to her next lesson, despite the fact that lunch break was over, she could still hear laughter from the stairwell. Maybe she should call them out, judged Nozomi as she took the steps leading towards the stairwell. Yo, isn't it about time to go? Seriously? Alright, lunch is over soon, isn't it? Apparently she didn't have to call out. Just before she stepped back down the stairs back to the corridors. So, what are you having next? You're having class with the monster, right? Language class? You turned in that assignment yet? As long as I turn it in by the end of the week, I should be A-okay. What a pain. Namiyama Middle School, a private school. The students had to get through rigorous exams to attend here. No matter how annoying it was, there were very few people who would seriously sabotage classes. She hurried down the stairs, smiling at two people passing her by as she walked down the hall. Looking back at the classroom behind her, she saw hairstyles that were familiar, and their voices were familiar as well. They were second-grade students of Class B. If she looked back behind her, Nozomi could see them entering the classroom she was about to go into. As she ruminated that fact and digested it, the chime signaling the end of lunchtime snapped her back into reality. Okay. Teachers tend to have nicknames. It wasn't too uncommon. It was the same when Nozomi was a student herself. Miss Kobayashi was called Koba-sen, short for Kobayashi-sensei. Mr. Watanabe was called Nabe-san. Still pretty nice, but there were also teachers that were given cruel nicknames by the boys and girls. However, there was usually a reason those teachers got those nicknames. They tend to just scold their students or gave the female students perverted looks. Within those hated teachers, there were some that only taught strictly knowing they were hated. They were nice teachers, but from a student's point of view, it wasn't any different. The two's conversation stuck to her head and wouldn't leave. So, what are you having next? You're having class with the monster, right? Oh, language class. Even though language is a disliked subject, that wasn't the only one being called a monster. Clearly it was pointing to an individual, meaning Nozomi, who was the language teacher, was being called the monster. In order for the... Sorry, I just saw a notification in the corner of the screen. Sorry. Meaning Nozomi, who was the language teacher, was being called a monster. In order for the person they're talking about not to get suspicious, she figured they might have invented the name monster for her. Monster is an English word, meaning something similar to beast in Japanese. Since she was a student up until she was a teacher, she hasn't heard of such a terrible nickname before. It was simple, but there was a tinge of sharpness to it. That sharpness meant to hurt the target's mind and rip it to shreds. Nozomi wasn't the type to scold her students. She always kept gentleness in mind. Even if she's being attentive to a particular student, she should have been teaching her classes very carefully. She didn't imitate those teachers who had pleasure in trapping their students and being mean to them. Perhaps teachers that go now and only came into contact for a bit with their students were considered bad teachers. Still, it was fine. She knew how hard it would be to work when she was disliked by her students. Still, she was hated. She was detested, but she thought it was probably okay. A nickname like Monster means that she had destructive power, means that she was like something inhuman, means that she was treated as a different species than the rest of them. This was far from the barrier between teacher and student. This was a barrier between people and something else, probably something no one could break. Nozomi continued doing her job while feeling hurt at the extreme shock she had gotten. Even if teachers and students may hurt each other, they couldn't abandon their duties, even if she hasn't formally reached the status of full-time instructor. Furthermore, Nozomi's suffering didn't end here. She had a long day ahead of her. After school she had another job. She had to attend the Culture Club cleanup meeting. Man, that was difficult to get out. Culture Club cleanup meeting. She stayed there as a request to advise them as part of her job, but one of their members this time was a bit problematic. She just prayed that she wouldn't cause any trouble. Nozomi sighed deeply and deeply. The top-class student, sitting 3 chairs away, looked nervous. Wondering if she was okay, Nozomi returned with a smile and said, "Yeah, I'm fine." But that smile didn't say she was doing okay. She probably didn't notice it. The student looked back at Nozomi with a worried smile. After school, she headed to the science room with heavy footsteps. She slid the door horizontally. There was no one inside. There was a long white table with 3 tripod chairs lined up alongside it. Since there was no science club today, there were no students here. For some reason, she became cautious. Unlike the language class which she was in charge of, the science lab was outside of her territory. Furthermore, she never really entered the science lab before. Usually this room was always locked. Dangerous chemicals were kept inside. It's not a place where students can come in without permission. Although she was a teacher, she felt more like an outsider. Why did they set the science lab as their meeting spot? Plus, whoever decided the members were being sloppy. The student council president said I wasn't the only one who decided it. So if it wasn't the student council president who decided the members, then who did? The prep room was located in the back of the science lab. She entered it through a small hidden entrance hidden behind the door to a locker room. Hold on. The prep room was located at the back of the science lab. She entered it through a small hidden entrance behind the door to a locker room filled with cleaning equipment. Unlike other classrooms, this one wasn't a sliding door but used knobs to open. Since this building was built 20 years ago, this room was more modern than the rooms before, or at least according to the principal. Nozomi placed her hands on the knob and turned it. It moved. It wasn't locked. There were already people there. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 5 of them were there. Everyone was looking at Nozomi. The one poking at the model of the human body was second-year Class C, Umi Shihabara. She had extravagant athletic skills, holding the prefecture records at the 100-meter races and the triple jump events. Did she just have that kind of power? She was often the subject of many problematic incidents. She's also one of the leading celebrities in school. Because Umi suddenly looked back, her nose was struck with parts of her tied hair. Okay? Understand? Okay, just trying to picture everything in my head here. Another 2C girl, Nemata Kayo, looked at Umi's behavior closely. The girl staring into the aquarium tank containing a turtle was Mine Musubiya. That girl was the head of Class 2D. She was an honor student. The teachers knew her well. She was very popular among the students. She was neither a disliked class president nor was she a forced into office class president. She was a proper student. There were 2 girls sitting on a chair by the corner, both of them first years. The one wearing glasses was Tatsuko Sakaki. The one with the long hair was Kaori Ninotsuji. Thanks to being surrounded by their upperclassmen, they were rather quiet. Even if they didn't show it, they seemed to act like adults. How they tied their hair and the length of their skirts was also within the school's recommended regulations. Since they weren't in her grade, Nozomi only knew them by name. She checked the time by looking at her hand watch. It was 5 minutes before the meeting time. That means Nozomi wasn't late. Okay. She was the one who was in charge of determining who was in charge of cleaning and tidying in the Cultural Festival Cleanup Committee. Compared to announcements or arranging shops, it wasn't a very popular group to be in. In addition, the students probably resented it, thinking it was useless. Even if she equally assigned it among them, there's a feeling of, why me, in some of the students. Because of that, no one really wanted to step forward as cleanup committee. Even if they asked for candidates, no one would raise their hands, and needless to say, because it was troublesome, the student council must sacrifice unlucky students using a randomizer. However, Nozomi was surprised that all 5 students gathered up here. Even though they've been thrown to the wolves, they may have motivation yet. It's weird that for the cleanup crew they nominated a lot of really useful and good students. But yeah, that was it for the prologue. We got introduced to 5 students and a teacher who I am assuming are probably going to either be important to the magical girls or they themselves are all magical girls but maybe don't even know it yet. Let me grab a sip of water though. Alright, Chapter 1, Magical Girl Army Form Up. And we're starting with the Magical Girl Posteri. Okay, my guess on who Posteri is from the name, I'm guessing either the ballerina or what was it? The one with the like weasel looking tail. The ferret one, the musketeer looking one. Because Posteri makes me think of riposte, like or just in general like a French-ish sounding name. So it makes me think it's either the ballerina or the weasel. But either way, let's read. From a young age, Tatsuko Sakaki, okay, so one of those students, Tatsuko Sakaki had been a cowardly and introverted girl. Since she never really talks... Hold on, let me go back up real quick and see which one Tatsuko Sakaki was. Using this could actually help me a lot. Okay, Tatsuko Sakaki. Let me see. Okay. Wearing glasses. Oh. Yeah, she was just one of the first years wearing glasses. She was one of the ones they didn't have much description for. Okay. Tatsuko Sakaki had been a cowardly and introverted girl. Since she never really talks, she could only wonder what was going to happen when she was forced to work together with the others for the Cultural Festival Cleanup Committee. Oh my god, that is such a mouthful. Thanks to having one of her classmates, Kaori, being chosen alongside her, Tatsuko felt saved. Even if her partner complained seriously and this sucks, she was grateful. Just thinking about going to the science lab alone, it made Tatsuko's heart easier to have a friend join her together. Okay? Down the corridor, they passed through the substitute room for the table tennis club, and listened to the instruments from the brass band club as they continued on. They turned the knob on the science lab's prep room as it didn't seem to be locked. This would be the first meeting of the cleanup committee, so they tried not to let their upperclassmen wait. Since they seemed to have come before the teacher, yet it was unlocked, they thought they might have come early, but it seems they were already guests. The inside of the room was illuminated by the sunset and dyed in a vermilion color. There was a girl sitting on a chair. "You guys are in the cleanup committee?" "You too." Tatsuko left the talking to Kaori. Tatsuko only listened while hiding behind Kaori. After a few minutes, the door opened with a loud noise. 2 more of their seniors entered. Tatsuko knew one of the 2. She was pretty famous around here. Umi Shihabara. Her hair, tied up in a ponytail, had a bright color that's slightly outside of school regulations, and she wore a uniform rather sloppily. Because she gripped the hand dynamometer so hard it broke, they couldn't measure her strength. Or else she single-handedly fought a gang of thugs and beat 'em up. She was famous for these exaggerated stories, even if Tatsuko never heard these stories. She probably still wouldn't want to work with someone like Umi. I'm betting Umi is probably the Suzaku girl from the design reaction. That would be my guess. She thought everyone was the same as her, unwillingly chosen, but Umi looked different. "Hey, something's in the air. It's a kind of smell. You smell it? You know what that smell is? It's the smell of adventure." She really did have a high sense of tension. She said things like "smell of adventure." A normal person would probably think of that as a joke. Even if it wasn't a joke they'd want to laugh at. Umi may actually be serious and think this was something important. Tatsuko gave them all an odd look. For Tatsuko, it was still better to talk to her seniors than her fellow classmates. Her classmates will probably despise her if she talked to them. It was more natural for a younger student to be nervous talking to their seniors. The only problem was that one of her seniors just happens to be the most famous troublemaker in the school. Tatsuko still didn't know what kind of attitude would light her fuse. Continuing her ambiguous and nervous attitude, Tatsuko's nerves felt like they were going to burst. The vermilion sunset faded. Now a dark persimmon color illuminated the faces of her upperclassmen. It's already winter. Soon the sun will set. She looked at Umi's complexion, as if she were expecting something important. She was restlessly looking around her surroundings. Is she suddenly going to burst? Is it like the rumor she's heard? Tatsuko was staring, keenly waiting while being stressed out, and the prep room door opened. It was the teacher. Tatsuko also knew her as Mrs. Nozomi Himeno. She wasn't in charge of the first years, but she did stand out. She was just like a student. As petite as one of the first years, she was already in her mid-20s, but her appearance was abnormally young. Rather than being young herself, if she put on a uniform herself, she could probably mingle with students naturally. Due to her figure that transcended her age, she was nicknamed Monster. Even though Tatsuko wasn't really part of the school's community, she still knew about what goes on in it. Okay, so this has me thinking maybe we've seen this done by other magical girls before. Maybe she just has a complex about her age or her physical appearance or something, so she stays in magical girl form, yet dresses up in normal human clothes to make herself be prettier or younger looking. Because we've seen other magical girls do that same kind of thing before, where they add some sort of complex with how they looked, so they used their magical girl forms and just dressed up as humans. But either way, I think wasn't that like a whole huge that was basically Petchka's story kind of. But either way. So, are we starting? No, not yet. Well, let's start anyway. I know it's early, but if we start early, we can leave early. Mrs. Himeno sat on a chair. One of the senior students stood up. She's been here since the very beginning. Her red-framed glasses reflecting the light of the sunset. A student council member. For the time being, I'll be acting as moderator. Class 2D, Mina Mutsubiya, or Musubiya. Thank you all for gathering to the Japanese Cultural Festival Cleanup Committee. They're adding words to this. Well, before at first it was just Culture Cleanup Committee. Now they added the festival a while back, which makes it make more sense. And now they've added Japanese to it. Japanese Culture Festival Cleanup Committee. Well, before we assign our responsibilities, let's introduce ourselves. So you're all here at last, huh? From nowhere in particular, a voice had been emitted through the room. It was shrill, the voice of a young child, not a voice you'd normally hear in a middle school such as this. Tatsuko looked around. The upperclassmen were also looking. There wasn't any children anywhere. Even in this school, you guys all have top-class magical powers. Using your magical potential, I'd like you to help me. Of course, I want to reward you for that. I'm going to make you all into magical girls. A small round ball of light descended from the ceiling. For a moment she thought, did one of the light bulbs fall down? No, it's falling too slowly. It's floating down. As it fell, its brightness gradually dropped. When it got to the table, it became a dim and pale white light. Inside of that ball of light, there was a 15-centimeter sized doll. It's nice to meet you. My name's Toko. As you can see, I'm a fairy. So, Toko is the new mascot character, except a fairy might be different than a mascot character. We don't really know all the sort of magical girl science behind all this. Everyone swallowed the words and rubbed their eyes. It wasn't a doll, it was moving. It had flesh, and there was a feeling of dynamicness to it. Its facial expressions were also vivid. It's not a human being, though. It was wearing light, and had translucent feathers like an insect on its back. And no human would be 15 centimeters tall. Every one of you's got the potential to be a magical girl. With my help raising you all, I can make you all into magical girls one by one. Oh, please become a magical girl and save me. I'm being pursued by an evil witch. Okay, so already, theory time. The fairy is actually the bad guy, and the evil witch pursuing her is actually, like... the thought came into my head, magical girl hunter Snow White, but I don't know if Snow White's even going to be in Limited, because with the character design sheet, Ripple was up there, so I think that Limited is going to kind of be like Restart was for Snow White, where she's going to be important to the story, but she's not going to be like part of the main group. Like how Snow White wasn't part of the main group, but she was important to the story in Restart. I think that's gonna kind of be Ripple's role here, but that would just be my guess. So my predictions, maybe Ripple is after this thing. Maybe I'll say Ripple instead of Snow White, and this thing is actually not a good thing. But either way, let me grab some water while we're at a page break, and then I'll tell you what page we're at. We just got to page 9. Okay. Tatsuko realized she stopped breathing and took a deep breath. What just happened? What's this girl saying? Even if Tatsuko tried to think about it in her head, she couldn't. Even Tatsuko knew she was confused. She looked towards Kaori to see what she thought of it, but when she did, Tatsuko yelped out. Eek. There was someone she didn't know, like something out of a circus or a cosplay or manga or an anime or a game. There was a person who was way too spectacular for Tatsuko's eyes. She had a flashy and fantastical look. On the right and left of her head were hair tied up with beautiful gradation. Her gloves shining in 7 colors. She had a flashy outfit with a substantial degree of exposure. Above her head was a halo with 7 colors. Oh, and on her back there was a large light ring as well. There were some on her ankles, too. Her accessories all looked horribly unrealistic. Did she use hanging threads, or did she support them with wires? It seems like they were all floating. So Kaori became the Techno Angel girl then. Okay. Tatsuko's voice got higher. The flashy girl shook her shoulder. Tatsuko saw her. Her facial features were beautiful. Not losing over to the impact her outfit made, it was just as unrealistic. On her well-positioned face, she saw confusion spreading. Ta-chan? Tatsuko hurriedly released the girl's cuffs, surprised that she had actually been grabbing them. She should have been gripping Coyote's cuffs as she was hiding behind her. Why? Didn't she know? What happened? Why is she grabbing the sleeves of this strange girl? Or she didn't know. What happened? Why is she grabbing the sleeves of this strange girl? You're Tachan, right? The girl seemed to be perplexed. Tatsuko was also confused at her question. You're Tachan, right? How'd a stranger who's never seen her before know Tatsuko's nickname, and where's Coyote? Tatsuko looked around. A pirate and a stage magician were pointing at each other. Both of them were beautiful, neither losing to the other girl. A ballerina decorated with a large amount of ribbons was trembling with a blue face, and for some reason there was a bridal girl in a wedding dress, and an Arabian dancer was floating in the air, looking down at them from above the ceiling. Okay, so I thought there were 5 students and a teacher. So let me make sure I got all this right. So there's Techno Angel, whatever Tatsuki, I forgot what her name was. It was Tatsuka, or Tatsuki, right? Either way, Tatsuko, that's what it is. Naming every final syllable except the right one. So we have Tatsuko, the Techno Angel, a pirate. There was the pirate that I called Captain Crunch, the stage magician, who I remember, the ballerina, and the bridal gown, and the Arabian dancer. Why are there 7? I thought there were 6 girls in the room, so that's weird. Okay. Huh, that's very, very weird. Bridal girl in a wedding dress. The bridal girl in the wedding dress, is that the candle one, I wonder? Bridal girl in a wedding dress. Yeah, I don't remember any that I would describe like that, so maybe it's the candle girl. Okay. So, I don't know which one of them is which yet, because I didn't really have enough time to even know from the description which ones were which to begin with. Tatsuko chuckled nervously as she looked at her hands and arms. Her fingers were slender. This wasn't Tatsuko's hands. The clothes she was wearing were also not her school uniform. She looked at the glass window. Then she saw a cute post... Okay, so Tatsuko is the carrier pigeon. There, she saw a cute postman girl, dressed like she was from an old movie. She was a pretty girl. Like the others, her facial features were arranged perfectly. When Tatsuko touched her face, the postman girl on the window touched her face as well. Okay. I love this. Now we're getting an illustration, so that'll help me a lot. So we only see 5 here. We don't see the bridal girl. We have the one that I said looked like a skunk and Captain Crunch pointing at each other, and we have the genie floating around up there. So I don't know which of the students they all are, because I don't remember anything about most of the students. There were the 2 first years. I don't think any of those 3 are the teacher. The 2 pointing at each other. One of them's the student council member. I forget what the other 2 students were. Okay. I'm just trying to keep like what is it? Inventory of all this so that it's not annoying for you to watch me just be confused through it. Let me scroll up really quick and see if I can get inventory on who was there. Okay. So we have Nozomi entering. Okay. Hold on. Let me look at the very beginning again. Okay. She entered. Science lab. Okay. Everyone was there. There was the athletic one. Alright, athletic one from 2C. That was Umi. Okay, so I was wrong. She isn't the Suzaku one that I was expecting her to be. Okay, so athletic one is Umi. Then Nemura. Okay. Nemura. Then Mine was the head of class 2D. Alright. And then, of course, Coyote and Tatsuko, which are the Techno Angel and the Carrier Pigeon. So I got those 2. Alright. And then, of course, Nozomi, the teacher. So there should have been 6 there. So it's weird that there are 7 in this thing. So let me jump back down to page 10. Okay. Okay. So that's weird. I guess I'm just going to have to move on. So I would guess that those are the other 3 students, since they're the ones we're seeing there. The athletic one is one of those 3. And then there's nothing we can really gain from the personalities compared to the designs yet. So, athletic one, student council one, and there was another that was just staring at her and messing with the fish tank or something like that. Okay, so the one messing with the fish tank I think might be the genie, because we see she's over by the fish tank. And then that would leave the bridal one, and there was someone else here other than the bridal one. Who else was here? Sorry. Oh yeah, the bridal one, the ballerina. I would guess that the bridal one would be the teacher. It'd be Nozomi, maybe. And I don't know what that leaves the ballerina one to be. But either way, don't you guys get it? Because of your magical potential, you guys are now magical girls. Soon the evil witch will come to the city, and you guys are the only ones with the power to stop her. They heard what the fairy was saying, but none of it went through their heads, of course. And now we're jumping over to Captain Grace. Okay, so this was told... So Posteri, of course, the postman. Posteri is the carrier pigeon. Understood. And Captain Grace. Umi Shihabara was rough. Okay, so I'm assuming Captain Grace is Captain Crunch. So Captain Crunch is Umi Shihabara, who was the athletic one. Got it. Who is also rough and has colorful hair. Got it. That's why I wouldn't have guessed that for Captain Grace, because that design didn't have colorful hair. It had very normal hair. Either way. There were many students and teachers that regarded her as an outlaw, but that wouldn't express her in the proper way. Umi Shihabara's violence and her tendency to break the rules was merely a result of something. At her core, Umi Shihabara was an adventurer, responding to the desire hidden deep inside of her. I want to have more excitement. I want to feel my heart pounding. I want to see things I haven't seen before. I want to do things I've never done before. There's got to be something amazing out there in the world that I haven't seen yet. She wanted to become a character in a story. She wanted to find treasure and defeat bad guys. She wanted to go on a big adventure. Fortunately, or unfortunately, the town she was born in was surrounded by mountainous terrain. As a child, she literally ran across the mountains, and after 3 incidents during kindergarten, she was no longer allowed to leave. She took out the tatami and removed the floorboards. She pushed up the ceiling boards and climbed the garden trees from the 2nd floor window. That was pretty much how she'd run away. After that, even after she was scolded by her parents, they couldn't bring down her unbelievable spirit, the ingenuity of her escape, the survival skills she acquired from the mountains, and a physical ability that matched with the animals there. All of them kept close to her, even now. That's right, she still has it now. Together with her childhood friend, Kaio Nemura, they can continue to seek adventure as middle school students. Okay, so I would guess then Kaio Nemura is probably the card one, the skunk-looking one. Then that means the genie is... I don't remember her name. The class representative one is the genie then, I guess. The people around her were confused, but she was different. She dreamed of adventure. With the power of experience that Umi has accumulated over time, she's been waiting for the right situation. Compared to the people who were never put in any strange situation, a person who was always prepared had a different way of thinking. Plus, today she had a premonition. She was confident that she felt a premonition saying that this cleaning club is narrowing it down to 2 words this time. Cleaning club isn't going to end simply just like that. What do we do? What's this? Fairy, are we on candid camera? After she quickly looked around, Umi tried to grasp what was going on. She shook her hand lightly. She made a fist. She inhaled and exhaled. She jumped lightly. Since she was transformed, her body had changed. She had power. She was full of energy. Even now, she felt like she could knock out a whale in one punch. I thought when they said she jumped lightly, they were going to do like they did with, well, it was Ripple in the light novels, but Snow White in the anime, where she just tries to jump and hits the ceiling when she turns into a magical girl the first time. Even though her excitement is high, her mind was calm, though she was quietly burning up. She saw herself in the glass window. She had a sword on her back. She pushed up the handle with her thumb, trying to pull it out of the sheath as much as she could. It was a bluntly curved, single-edged sword, like something a pirate would wield. Just lightly tapping her fingers onto the blade caused the surface of her thumb to bleed. It was sharp. It was real. The fairy said something about turning into magical girls. She herself had decorations that made her look like Captain Hook from Peter Pan, but a girl version of him. Looking at the other girls, the phrase magical girl would be normal to use. Alrighty, she posed, showing off her gutsiness. The others were confused, their eyes meeting with her, but not really paying attention. So, you said we're magical girls, right? Yep, you all have magical potential. Only you can win against the evil witch. The fairy had been chased by an evil witch from the land of magic all the way to here. Letting them go would mean trouble for the human world, meaning they had to defeat them. This is what the fairy had explained to them in her brief talk. So, we just have to fight this evil witch and win, right? What happens then? Umi said, intending to confirm what they should do, seemingly being interpreted as asking about the merits of fighting. If you guys fight the evil witch and win, then you'll have the ability to transform into magical girls whenever you want. That's my reward for you. Speaking of merits, the fairy seems to have made being a magical girl itself a prize. You see, magical girls, their power and speed far exceeds normal humans, and each one of them has a unique magical skill. Something appeared from an empty space, and it was scattered all around. She felt a weight inside her hand, her line of sight looking down towards the heart-shaped phone that she was holding. Seems like something was displayed on the screen. This is a magical phone, and only magical girls can use it. Your magical girl names and your magical skill are all written in there. Wow, you're prepared. So this time around, they didn't get to choose their names or their appearance or anything. It all just happened to them. Wow, you're prepared. Her personal data was already shown in the magical phone that the fairy had handed them. On screen was a cute chibi pirate, and beside that picture there were some characters displayed. Captain Grace, this must be your name, right? Can summon a cool pirate ship that travels fast on water. This must be your magical skill then. Wait, Kaio, what's your power? She looked at the stage magician's magical phone from the side. Her name was Funny Trick. Her magical skill was can exchange hidden objects with another object. That's a really cool skill. I like this. I like Funny Trick already. Wait, are you Umi-chan? Isn't that obvious? No, it's not obvious. I don't even know what's going on. You're telling me you get what's going on? Somehow isn't an answer. How could you just be okay with this? I told you, didn't I? I had a premonition this morning. By the way, the nets on your thighs are pretty sexy. That's not important right now. Blocking Umi and Kaio's conversation, the fairy flew in the air, landing on the desk with her knees. Please help me. Not just me either. Please save the world. The fairy's voice got higher. Was she acting all hysterical because she was being chased? All right, let's do it. There's no way they could refuse. The adventure that she longed for has finally arrived. The fairy smiled widely. Oh my gosh, smiled widely. That is really hard to say. Really, thank you. Umi-chan. Settle down, Kaio. I will not. There's no use talking with Kaio. However, Umi did return a smile back to the fairy. Anyway, you can count on me and Kaio to work together with you. Why am I cooperating as well? While Kaio seemed to be breaking into a shout, another magical girl spoke up. Wait a minute, you're okay with this? I mean, she's Umi. Of course she would be. What about you, Miss Himeno? The ballerina, with plenty of ribbons decorating her, was waving her hands, showing indignation. Her age, appearance since before she transformed didn't really look that different. Kaio bowed her head, as if saying, say something, please. Okay, so the ballerina is, the Himeno then. Nozomi Himeno. Okay. Of course I'll say no. I don't understand anything, but I also know that letting an evil witch loose is a problem. In that case, you should have gone to the police. This isn't something you give to middle school students. Kaio muttered, looks like Mrs. Himeno actually took this better than I thought, under her breath. She knew something felt wrong. The fairy raised her face, objecting to the ribbon girl. I don't have much time. The evil witch is already here. Besides, I can't just go to the police. Only magical girls can defeat the evil witch. But this is far too dangerous for students. If you don't stop her, it'll be even more dangerous for them. It's fine, I told you. I told you we're gonna do it. It'll be fun. Shihabara. Wait, are you telling me you won't help this cute little fairy? Fairies are people too. She's asking for help. I just can't turn away. The wedding dress girl pulled up her sleeves. Umi looked into the rainbow costume girl. I'm still wondering who this seventh person is. How did a seventh person get here? If we say no now, we're gonna lose. Whether or not you guys want it, me and Kaio are gonna do this. But come on, guys. Why don't you just join in? Come on, let's do it. It'll be fun. I'll do it. The wedding dress girl stood up. She had a bouquet and a lit candle on her. Okay, so yeah, she's the candle. I was shocked at first, but that fairy, no matter how you look at it, she's a living creature, right? It seems not even our abilities were lies. Perhaps she was experimenting. The wedding dress girl picked up a 10-yen coin from one of the shelves. Using just her index finger and middle finger, she bent it. I'm tired of studying for entrance exams. With this power, there might be a way to live other than exams, don't you think? I've judged that the benefits outweigh the risks. I will too. The girl with the rainbow ring on her back raised her right arm. I'll join you too. I've always wanted this. Will you do it too, Tachan? The postman girl by her side seemed overworked as she looked at her surroundings, finally nodding her head. May will too. Okay, so who is May? A voice from above. They looked at the ceiling. There was a girl with an Arabian-style dancer outfit with a high degree of exposure, sitting cross-legged and floating above. How are you guys acting so normal about this? Kaio shouted out. Why are you all just accepting it? Think twice about the danger before you walk into something. The girl in the ribbon knocked on her desk. The girl's curly hair was like a spring. The fairy on the table was quickly blown away, picked up by the rainbow girl. The desk easily broke apart, tilting strangely. By all means, if you want to quit, go ahead. The fairy turned around to the ribbon girl while being held by the rainbow girl. I'll just erase your memories and you'll forget all about being a magical girl. It'd be troubling if you tattletale to someone. Gotta keep everything related to magic a secret after all. Such selfishness. You're a school teacher, right? I get it. You want to protect your students. I'm not too familiar with the human world, but that's what a teacher does, right? Umi saw the fairy's expression suddenly looking more like an adult. She wondered if it was due to the sunset illuminating her. Then, the best way to do that is to fight with them. I can erase your memories and you can go back to your regular life, but your students are still going to fight that evil witch. That witch is going to come here any time now, so it's not just me that's in danger. This is the whole world we're talking about, so please, help me. Alright, let me check all my stuff. We're at page 18 out of 36 after 43, wow, 43 minutes? Holy crap. Okay, so before I continue on, we're at page 18. Let me go back and see if May was one of those that was mentioned in the beginning. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. Alright. Science Club. Yeah, all 5 of them were here, so why are there 7 people? Everyone was looking at Nozomi. Umi Shihabara, we know, is Captain Grace. Then we have Nemura Kaio, who is, something trick, lucky trick, something like that. I like her, she's my favorite so far. And I didn't think from the design that she would be, but she's my favorite so far. Then Mine Musubiya, I'm assuming that since they said May is the floating girl or whatever, then Mine Musubiya is the head of class 2D. And they said she was a good student and she was popular, an honor student, but she's the one that wants to get out of exams. She's the bride girl, I'm guessing. And then we have Tatsuko Sakaki and Kaori Ninotsuji, who are the angel and the postman. Okay, so Nozomi wasn't late. Was there someone who showed up at the end? I don't get it. Nozomi was surprised. All 5 of them have gathered. See how why? I am so confused. Where did this seventh girl come from, and why is nobody questioning how there were 6 people in the room, and now the fairy enters, but now there are also 7 people? Is there just someone I'm missing somewhere? I don't get it. I'm really, really confused. I'm confused at who May is or where they came from. Is it some sort of mistake or something? I don't get it. I'm going to keep reading a bit, but might have to split this into 2 parts. But I'm going to keep reading a little bit, at least for now. Tepsakeme. May's memories and experiences are very limited. Even if she learned something new... Let me get some water first, my throat's really dry. I'm just really, really confused right now. May's memories and experiences are very limited. Even if she learned something new, since it always gets overwritten immediately, nothing is usually left. Even in her remaining memories, they usually weren't very clear. If it wasn't useful for how to live her life, she'll immediately forget it, because if it's not useful, she wouldn't need it. Whenever she was stupefied, she was just stupefied. Even if it seems that May was indulging in other thoughts, May really didn't think of anything. She didn't think. Even so, she knew it wasn't a waste. She didn't think, she didn't ponder. That was natural according to May. Being a magical girl gave her excessive freedom. Everything in the world shone brightly. She understood people's intentions, and people understood hers at the same time. Her arms and legs moved freely. She could jump, she could bounce, she could wind her arms around, she could put her legs together. She could do anything. More than anything, she could fly. If she wanted to go here, if she wanted to go there, she could move towards them freely. Nothing prevented May from doing anything. While everyone else was talking about things she didn't understand, May was trying to figure out the lengths of what she could do. Her movements were fast, her power was strong, she could fly in the sky. She placed her hand on her belly. No matter how much food she ate, she still felt hungry. But now she didn't even feel hunger at all. She didn't even feel like pooping. She didn't feel any more sexual desires either. I see. She lost as many things as she gained. She didn't just receive things. The things she lost were replaced with things she gained. Now that she thought about it, she was surprised that she understood the concept of counting. She could add and subtract. In general. Oh! May is totally the turtle. Now I understand. Whoa, so the turtle is a genie now, and that's why May never thought about things, why it was natural to May, why she doesn't understand what the rest are talking about. So this is just like what happened with Cherna. I mean, not just like it, but pretty damn similar. Okay. And that makes all these paragraphs before make so much more sense. She could put her legs together now, because she couldn't do that before as a turtle. Okay. See? Very quickly understanding now. I'm glad I didn't end the video at that break, or I would have just been confused for no reason. Okay. She could add and subtract. In general, there were a lot of things. Even inside this room, there were a lot of things that seemed fun. Like that thing, or if she touched this thing, or if she chewed on this, or knocked down this, or rolled on that one. And while she was doing those things, the talking around her continued. May knows that she wants to be a magical girl. The others also seem to want to be a magical girl. Magical girls seem to be special beings. May was proud, and while she held on to that small pride, she decided to follow along. According to that small human being with wings, if the magical girls didn't defeat the evil witch, then they couldn't be magical girls. That would be very boring, thought May. The world she lived in before she became a magical girl, although it was peaceful and easy, after she discovered the world of magical girls, she didn't want to go back. When she went outside, she found out even more. Magical girls possessed magical skills. May's skill was to assimilate to the wind. By becoming the wind, so she, again, is one of those where I feel sad, because she is basically immortal, and we know that the basically immortal ones always die. Damn it. To assimilate to the wind. By becoming the wind, she could also fly in the air. There seemed to be a lot more she can do other than just flying in the sky. While she was listening to the winged human instructing everyone, the rainbow human seemed to have noticed May. The rainbow human talked to her. Are you bored? Why? Oh, it's nothing. You just look bored is all. May wasn't bored. Before she was reborn, she's never had so much fun or done as many interesting things. Yet, the rainbow human thought she was bored. Other than May, the other magical girls didn't just use their voices, but also changed their facial expressions as well to communicate. They neither bumped heads nor looked at their anuses. May has never changed her facial expression before. Perhaps that's why they thought she was bored. That's what May guessed. So May began to change her expression to the rainbow human, but that wasn't enough to change expressions either, it seems. Ha 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 ha, said May in a loud voice. That should give her a sign that she was having a lot of fun. Yet, the rainbow human seemed to nervously bow her head down and said, "Sorry I asked." As she backed away from May, it seems May didn't look like she was having fun. The other magical girls were also staring at May. It didn't seem like May got the intended reaction she wanted. If there was another chance, May wanted to try again, but do it better. Being a magical girl was very difficult, but at the same time very interesting. So again, it's weird that none of them are freaking out like, oh my god, the turtle is a person now. But either way, let's move along to the Captain Gray stuff. Let me grab a sip of water again. And we're at page 21, pretty much. I think I'm going to try... How long's the video? Yeah, it's almost an hour. I'm going to try to get through one more section, this next Captain Gray section, and then I'll end it. And then I'll read the rest as soon as I can and get the video on the rest of it posted as soon as I can too. So either way, Captain Grace now. So-called teachers were troublesome obstacles, along with parents. They always tried to make her avoid adventures. It's unrealistic, it's just a fantasy, but if Umi opened her eyes to what she saw, how could she ever say that it was romantic or bold? Okay. Umi was a strange girl, but it couldn't be helped. The fairy flew in the sky, they gave her magical powers. This wasn't something you'd encounter in a regular human's lifespan. Most people will never get a chance like this, right? Although Umi was a student and Miss Himeno was a teacher, there was a degree of arrogance when Miss Himeno ordered her around. It was unacceptable. There's an adventure waiting right here. You can't just tell me not to go. Fortunately, the fairy Toko was much better than she appeared. Would Miss Himeno rather lose her memory and go back to being normal, or become a magical girl and fight alongside her students? Those were the two options, and using that, she managed to persuade her. Now, nothing will get in the way of her adventure. While Miss Himeno was reluctant, she was glad to be a magical girl. Everyone followed Toko's instructions, preparing to intercept the evil witch. Toko chose the interception point for the evil witch, 100 meters from the school towards the mountainside. An advanced interception point. There were no shops or facilities other than the school that was visible. The residents were sparse. Other than that, there's at most a parking lot. Okay. Even though there was a road, it was in a horrible condition. There were big and small cracks all throughout the asphalt. There were very few streets with both people and cars coming in, but it's not all zero. Here's where we'll intercept the evil witch. Won't we be seen if we fight? I thought we were supposed to be keeping all this a secret. You do have to keep this a secret, but this is an emergency, so it's okay. If things look bad, I'll just erase the eyewitnesses' memories. It's no problem as long as we can leave before the police or firefighters come. According to Toko, the evil witch may be able to detect the whereabouts of magical girls. Because of that, Umi and others had to cancel their transformation. They were each given places to hide, returning back to their human forms. Since they knew how amazing it felt as a magical girl, returning to a human and waiting to fight again won't be inconsequential. Funny trick, Kaio Nemeda was looking at the traffic lights anxiously. She wouldn't calm down even until she came here. She looked into the trash can installed by the nearby vending machine. She heard a noise, and every time a car passed, they became tense. Umi grabbed Kaio's head and violently pulled it down. Hey, we're in the bushes. What's the point of hiding if you're sticking your head out? Sorry. I know you're worried, but you gotta understand, Kay. We gotta believe in Toko right now. Umi looked at her smartphone. No signal yet. Toko, who was sitting above the traffic light, disappeared. Even though she was invisible, she was still there. She put aside her magical phone. If the enemy came, Toko would give them instructions. Umi and Kaio were lurking in the lilac bush under the traffic light. Miss Himeno and the class president were hiding behind a car in the parking lot. The two first graders were hiding behind the fence of a nearby house. The Arabian dancer seemed to be hiding inside a sewer gutter. Umi admired that she was willing to even hide in such a place. The setting sun should be visible, but it was covered with thick and heavy clouds. It's November. As a human she felt cold. If she kept still, she'd probably be frozen. She grabbed her coat and hugged herself. Since she breathed in cold wind, her nose began to hurt. Umi frowned at herself, disappointed that she'd be bothered by something as boring as the cold. If she got bothered by small things like that, it means she lacked concentration. This was going to be her first real battle as a magical girl. Was she nervous because of that? She reached out for the sword on her back, but grabbed nothing. She remembered that she wasn't a magical girl right now. She frowned again. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Don't worry about me. Just worry about yourself for now." Kaio was uneasy. When Umi was there, she always felt uneasy. Usually Umi would say, "It's going to be exciting and full of thrills, so don't worry," and end it with a laugh. However, even Umi seemed a little uneasy. That's right. She didn't understand. It's been a while since she remembered. She'd forgotten what this was. This wasn't fear. This wasn't a premonition. Even with Captain Grace's power, it seemed that her usual life overshadowed it. Something was coming closer. She'd been feeling something like that until now. An animal would use his senses to avoid danger. Umi would use her senses to sniff out danger and stomp it with her foot. Danger is fine as long as she was aware of it. It's time for adventure. Umi had prepared a routine in order to make danger into her own. She breathed in long and deep breaths. She loosened anything nagging in her brain. This was something no one else could understand, even if she explained it. She felt chills and thrills. The details don't matter. She breathed out all the air in her body. Once her body couldn't breathe out anymore, she took in air, expanding her diaphragm. She was laying in the bushes, cold wind blowing at her, but her body was getting warmer. Quietly, her tension began to rise. She looked at the nervous Kaio. She didn't feel annoyed anymore. She's here. Toko's voice came out of the smartphone that Umi had been carrying. Her voice was clear, but it had dropped an octave. Even though she only said 2 words, it brought a chill to Umi's spine. She's not supposed to transform yet. From the bushes, if she looked at the road, she could see a white van driving along. There were no other people, nor other cars around. Umi looked at the road sign. It said 50 kilometers an hour. That van's speed was about 10 kilometers slower than the legal speed limit. Furthermore, it continued to slow down, stopping near the road sign just before the traffic light. Her stomach began to grumble. The sweat on her neck had dropped to her armpits. The winds were shaking the lilac bush. The tall weeds were flowing. Kaio cleared her throat. Umi's sensations captured every detail. She didn't have enough concentration. After grasping everything, she concentrated on the van. Not bad, she chuckled with her lips smiling. The door of the van opened. From inside, someone got down. She wore a hood and a coat. Since her hood was down, her facial expression and face were hidden. Under this cold air, she was wearing branded sports sneakers. Toko, a young girl's voice, but sharp like a dagger. Although Toko was hidden, the girl looked like she knew exactly where she was, as if it were obvious. Toko responded with a loud, teasing voice. "You're a little later than I thought. Do you really want to do this the hard way, or are you going to come gently? Choose either." "I see. She really is evil. I don't like either option, honestly." Toko showed herself. That was the sign. Umi, who transformed herself into the magical girl Captain Grace, pulled out her sword. Behind her, she could hear Kaio stepping and running onto the concrete ground. The two first-year students, even the teacher and class president, all got the timing simultaneously and revealed themselves. Everyone was transformed into magical girls. The Arabian dancer was meandering as she flew up into the air before falling down and approaching the van. Okay, so thoughts? Either whoever the witch is, probably Ripple, is going to completely wreck all of them, or someone's going to die here to start it off. And I think that either Kaio or Umi are going to die. storyline-wise, and this is where I'm going to end it. I'll continue the rest in a part 2 video in a few days as soon as I can. But some thoughts. I think it's great so far. My favorite so far is Kaio, but I also like the turtle, Mei. I want to learn more about the angel and the posteree, because both of them seem cool. What am I thinking here? So I think it's either going to be Kaio or Umi that dies here first, because of Umi's whole, I want to go on an adventure all the time. I don't care about this magical girl stuff because I just want to go on an adventure. It's either going to get her best friend killed so that she spends the rest of her time in the series like, oh crap, adventure is not what I thought it would be. Or she herself is going to get killed to show the way that just rushing into adventure will get you killed, and it keeps Kaio alive because Kaio has a cool power that can be used in a lot of different storylines. And to tell the truth, the whole ship on water, I thought it was a ship she could fly around in the sky or something. That'd be really cool, but if it's like only on water, then that's kind of a lame power that's not very useful. Probably one of the more lame powers in the series. Like right behind in the lame powers ranking, right behind Flez, because Flez is absolutely useless given that Shadow Gale could just recreate her power at any time. And she's friends with Shadow Gale, so Shadow Gale could recreate Flez's power for her like 90 times over within a couple days probably. So yeah, when it comes to useless power rankings, Umi's is up there. But either way, I enjoyed it. I hope you liked the video. I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I'll get to work on the next one as soon as I can. I'm going to get to work on posting this, though, because it's almost 3 p.m., and I know it's going to take forever to render this since it's an hour long. So yeah, if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my first thoughts and reaction. No spoilers, please, of course. Comment, subscribe for more Magical Girl Raising Project, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. Or if you want a link to our Discord server to talk with me or more of us there, then just ask and I can give you a link to the Discord server. So that's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.